We're good. Welcome, everybody. What's going on, y'all? It is the Caveman back at it again with the Cave Live. I'm very excited to be bringing you the third episode of the Cave. I got a very special guest. I got Z-Bot. His name is Zach, aka Z-Bot. I'm from the Buffalo Fanatics. We got draft week. There's so much you could talk about. If you're new around here, then you will probably be quick to find out. I'm not very big on the deep talk about the draft. I'll give you some very basic opinions, some very basic thoughts. So I'm not going to get too crazy in depth here. It's just going to be a fun time. I know Z-Bot's going to have a lot of thoughts of his own. He just came off the show. You know what? I'll just bring him in, and then we'll get into that part. But first, let's just bring in my man, Z-Bot.
Caveman, I'm great, brother. Thanks so much for having me. Like you just said, I'm in the zone. I'm just coming off my show straight into yours, so it's seamless, perfect transition. Like you said, it's draft week, so a lot to be excited about, and I'm pumped to be on here, man. I didn't even know this is the third overall one, so I'm high up on the depth chart here in the recent start of the show here. I take it.
Oh yeah, you are the third ever guest that I've had on here.
Wow, third time's the charm. What an honor. I appreciate it, brother.
You have quite an opportunity to take the top spot too. Not much competition for the quiz.
Well, that's what I'm here for. I already saw some gibbering going on Twitter about taking that top spot. So we'll see what happens. Although I will say, my trivia game when it comes to anything really is not great. So we'll have to see how I fare. But I'm looking forward to it.
I did see you was it like a trivia card game or something you were promoting?
Yeah.
Go ahead, run that down.
So I had this, I'm like you in your background there. I got all my Bills crap lined up on my in my basement, and I had someone gave this to me forever ago, and I had it sitting there in the wrap, and I didn't even open it. And I'm like, I'm always thinking of something to do content wise because the offseason's tough. Outside of the draft, which, like you said, you're not huge draft guy. I told you off air, I am not even close to a huge draft guy. So I got to find something else. So I was just taking a look, and it's this card game, and essentially what it is just give you 5 clues, and then you got to guess who the Bills player was. So I thought that was pretty cool. And as I've realized, as I'm looking through doing these content videos on them, I go to myself, I go, man, I hope somebody else knows the answer because there's no freaking way I know it. So yeah. I'll see what everybody else thinks,
Well, in comparison to that, I can't imagine. Hopefully, the trivia. I'm still trying to gauge the question, so hopefully it's nothing like that. But
all right,
I do have a hard time trying to gauge the question sometimes. So it's a work in progress, but I think it'll be a good time either way. So we've done a little bit of a guest spotlight to begin with, but that is
Dude, oh my God. I'm shocked it didn't happen on my show. Every single week, Caveman, every single mother effing week that thing comes down. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know what it is. It's up there. Fine. And it comes down every time. I'm just going to leave it. Whatever. Screw it. Unbelievable. Well, you get the honor this week. Usually I'm the one who has to deal with it on my show, but I guess you get the honor this week. So unbelievable.
That's fine with me. We'll spice anything.
See, there's Bobby. He goes, there it is. Yeah, there it is, Bobby. Yep. You had to come over here just to see it. You had to come over here. I left you all waiting. The anticipation must have been killing you. When is Z-Bot's banner coming down? Well, there it is. Every damn week.
Well, we like to add some spice here in the cave. So
sure.
Why not? We need to throw a little bit of a curveball every once in a while. So we're gonna guest spotlight. All right, where's the stupid? I hate managing StreamYard. I'm not a puppet.
Speaking of which, Bobby, listen, Bobby, Pierre, and the boys, they're the ones who order and send it to me, and I keep saying, where's the quality control over here? I mean, I'm doing my best to keep it up. By the way, I mean we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board here, fellas. You don't need
like a big old hammer and
I'm gonna need to nail that thing in. The problem is my landlord, he might not like that. I got those command hooks up there. They're pieces of crap, man. Whatever.
Oh, yeah, you might need to put a hammer to that.
Yeah. And something's gonna need to change, or else this is just becoming too repetitive. But
all right, so I think we've pretty much introduced Z-Bot as much as we have, but member of the Buffalo Fanatics, this is his own show every Monday. It's called The Smoke Break. He just came over from it. It's been said about 4 times now. I think we're getting the gist here. Z-Bot is one hell of a content creator, I gotta say. It's an honor to have you on the third ever episode. So this is going to be a really good time.
Well, it's great to be here, man. This is fun. I mean, I've been waiting for the draft. Even though I'm not huge into it, I do love the draft itself. So the fact that it's here, it always just shows you, because once the summer hits, man, the summer always flies, and then football's right back here. So we're finally the motors are turning here, man. It's coming sooner than we think.
Definitely. And honestly, thank God, because I mean, you said it, the offseason, especially, trying to come up with content ideas, it can get to be a drag sometimes.
Well, just life in general is a drag without the season, man. I mean, when the season ends, life is not the same. It is just not.
That is one hell of a point. I always think at the end of the year, I'm like, it was just week one. Now it's just about over. And I go through the same process of what am I going to do for the next 6 or 7 months?
It's the same feeling every year. Week one rolls around and I go, there's no way it's week one already. I can't believe it. And then like you just said, there's no way it's week 17 already. What the hell is it? There's no way the Super Bowl is tomorrow. That's how it is every year.
And it's like, it's deja vu. But
yeah,
you know what? Let's veer. I said earlier before the show started, we're going to try and avoid too much draft talk just because, it's going to be beaten like a dead horse this week. So we're going to start with some recent events that have been going on. And recent events, starting with Deebo Samuel. This man has caught himself in the news quite a bit as of late. It started with demanding a trade. It was first a rumor. Then it came out that he was, looking to get out, and now he wants to be paid. There was a lot of other rumors going around about Deebo Samuel. Let's first start how this regards with the Bills. Is this something that you would feel, comfortable doing if you had to pay a little bit of a penny for him?
Well, as of right now, I don't think it's feasible, just because you just Diggs. You're trying to figure out what your wide receiver room is going to look like in the recent years. On my show just before I came on here, we were trying to figure out if it's a logical move to go wide receiver in round one. And it seems great. And it seems like it would be an instant success. And in a lot of ways, I think it would be. Of course it would. We've seen what happens when Josh Allen gets additional weapons. He increases in talent every time. It started with John Brown, then Cole Beasley, then the addition of Stephon Diggs takes it over the top, and now look where we are. So, of course, would it be worth it? Of course. Can they do it? I don't think so. We're talking about going wide receiver first round in the draft. Yeah, I'd love it. But what we were just discussing is essentially, one, where do you get the snaps in for that wide receiver one? And two, you got to consider, Gabriel Davis, if he has a year even close to what he had last year, especially in a position this year where he is going to be wide receiver two, you could expect him to probably have an even bigger year. He's going to be demanding some cash in a couple years from now. And that's not even considering Josh Allen's contract not kicking in yet. The pieces on defense that you're going to need to pay. What are you going to do with Tremaine Edmonds? Poyer wants to get paid now. What's going to happen there? So, Deebo Samuel, it would be amazing. I just don't see how you could, one, pay for, two, the assets have to give up to get him. I don't know if the Bills have 49ers would command. The only team right now that makes sense for both parties is the Jets, in my opinion. The Jets have 2 top 10 picks. I think if he doesn't want to be in San Francisco and it just comes to the point where San Fran has to move off of him, what better haul could you get than 2 first-round picks? I think that would be the only real logical move. But San Fran said today they don't want to move off of him. This is a very weird situation. Deebo just had the best year of his career. He immediately became a superstar last year, and they made the NFC Championship. So it's not like it's not doom and gloom out in San Fran. So, him wanting out is a head scratcher to me. People are saying it's because he doesn't like living in California. Okay, I guess. Is living in, where else would you rather live?
I know.
I'm not
right.
sure. But as far as the Bills are concerned, I just don't see it in the cards. The Jets are a logical choice to me. New England would make sense. New England, I don't know what's going on offense. Devontae Parker, sorry, he's not the answer. Daniel Jones isn't elite to begin with. Mix that with a lack of wide receiver talent, and I just don't prosper at all this season. They weapon, and that could potentially be it. The one other team that I wouldn't rule out either, which would be it would be a real kick to the balls, Caveman, and it's the Chiefs. They just got a haul for Tyreek. They have a lot of capital now that they didn't have prior. It would be a tough swing, but they have the draft capital to do it. I'm interested to see what happens with Debo. I think if he does move, you see it happen Thursday night, and where he goes to me is a mystery. But I think the most logical situation would be to go to the Jets, and San Fran takes their 2 top 10 picks.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The Jets were the first team that came to my mind, and as speculation started to rise, it seems like the Jets were definitely the most popular destination. And you mentioned the Chiefs too. It's like every single time over the last few years now you hear a big name come out, you're always thinking, God forbid the Chiefs come out of nowhere and somehow scoop this dude up. I mean, God forbid they get another weapon, and it's just another one of those situations where, I mean, although granted, I feel like Debo with the Chiefs and that kind of offense would not be nearly as effective as he was with the 49ers. It still would be a scary situation.
Yeah, you're right. And I think the other reason the Jets make sense, too, is because there's San Francisco lineage there. Robert Saleh comes from San Francisco. Their offensive coordinators from San Francisco. So the whole thing makes sense. But this is the problem I have in this current day, man. These players holding out, it started in the NBA. It's trickled into the NFL. It started at the quarterback position, and now it's rampant in the wide receiver position. It's really starting to piss me off. I think it's pissing fans off in general, man. But this is the reality now, man. I mean, these guys have too much leverage. They're making too much money. And now with the power of social media, everybody knows their thoughts. And even with Diggs, before he was signed, he's got a very odd Twitter. You never know what the hell he's saying. Everything seems cryptic. It's very weird. But he was tweeting out some random stuff. And of course, everybody was like, oh, Diggs doesn't want to be here or whatever. That's what happens, and this is happening with Debo. It happened with Devon Adams. It happened to Kyler Murray. Currently, it happened with Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers last year. This is the new reality when you mix in the amount of money and the amount of leverage, because outside of quarterback, like I was just talking about with Mac Jones, if you have a quarterback, okay, great. But Josh Allen was nothing with Calvin Benjamin. It's not going to work out if you don't have a guy, at least one guy. And to me, there's two sides to the story, though. Okay, Debo, you want out, fine. But where you're going to wind up going is going to be a miserable situation. I don't know why you'd want to move to New Jersey and catch balls from Zach Wilson in a rebuild. That doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean?
I mean, I sit here and think to myself, if I'm Debo Samuel, you caught the spotlight this year with a team that probably shouldn't.
You are the team.
Yeah.
He is the team.
That's what I mean. Like, you are with an offense where
you make an AFC title or an NFC title. It's not like you're missing the playoffs. Like, they had a great year. And they were injured, too.
I know. And I'd even argue that it's only going up. I mean, maybe Trey Lance, maybe for some reason thinks it's not going to work with Trey Lance.
That's a whole other thing.
Right. I mean, depending on how you want to look at it, I mean, they're only up with Trey Lance in comparison to Jimmy Garoppolo, at least in my eyes. I mean, Jimmy G's about as incapable as it gets. So you're bringing a young kid like Trey Lance, who probably is going to be a lot more creative and probably work with you a little bit better than Jimmy G did. I mean, I don't know. It's just
and it also puts San Fran in a corner too, because if they move off from Jimmy G, and I'd be shocked if they don't come Thursday. I got to believe that clock's ticking. I don't know how the hell you justify moving up to the third overall pick. You take Trey Lance, and then you don't move off of Jimmy G. Now it gets infinitely harder, because even though you didn't get there because of him, you still made the NFC Championship with him. It makes it a hell of a lot harder to get rid of him. The locker room loves him. You're gonna have to move off. Okay, you do. Great. If Trey Lance starts and you have to move off Debo Samuel, well, good luck. I mean, that's the problem. They're in a corner. That's why when we're talking about leverage, you got to think that Debo's got the leverage. There's not a team in the league who doesn't want him. Of course, San Fran wants him. But at the end of the day, if these guys don't want to show up, they don't have to. And it makes it real tough as an owner of a franchise or a manager. That's why every day, man, the way that this organization is run in Buffalo, outside of the success they've had on the field, I just couldn't be more satisfied as a fan as to how the operations are run in Buffalo, because you see time and time again these unbelievable issues in the front office, in the personnel, and it just almost never brings its way to Buffalo. And that's a factor that almost nobody talks about when it comes to the success of certain franchises. I mean, you look at Cleveland, their roster was perhaps the best in the league, and it just failed because of the way Baker carried himself. That's why that whole experiment is. You look at the situation in Buffalo, and it is exemplary when it comes to how you want to run your franchise in this league.
Absolutely. And, it really doesn't get spoken about enough. You think, when you think about, you were talking about all the cryptic tweets that Stephon Diggs puts out, it just, if this was any other organization, you're probably thinking, okay, there's definitely something up. But we knew internally that, who knows what they mean, but he's coming back. Like, I think most of us we could say with confidence that.
Well, of course you can, because what reason would there be for Diggs not to want to leave? He wanted to leave the Vikings for a better situation. He did just that. Oh, let's go have a career year. That's exactly what he did. Oh, let's be a perennial Super Bowl contender back-to-back years heading into this year. There was no way he was going to leave. It was a matter of, getting the contract situation figured out. To me, though, the Debo situation is similar to Diggs. It's like you're not in a bad spot. Kyler Murray the same way. I don't know what you expect. I just don't know what the expectation is. Oftentimes when these guys want out, they're going to wind up in a worse spot. I mean, I'm not a big NBA guy, but a perfect example of this is Kevin Durant.
Yes.
Kevin Durant was on one of the greatest franchises in the history of the sport, one of the greatest dynasties. He willingly leaves, and now look at him. He's down 3-0 in the series to an inferior team.
Kicked out.
Exactly. It's over. They just got swept. Wow, that is insane to me. I mean, I know this. Not to get off topic, I know the Celtics D is great, but you're talking about Kevin Durant, perhaps the best player in the league, top 5. You got Kyrie Irving. He willingly left perhaps the greatest basketball team in the sport. And look what happened. These guys, the moral of the story, man, it's not always greener on the other side, and it's not all about the money. But to some of these guys, it is, and that is an issue. If it's all about money, you're going to get paid. Watch what happens to Rodgers. He got paid. Green Bay is not going to be half what they were last year without Devontae Adams. So, it's all about what your priorities are. And I think we know what Josh Allen's priority is. It's not all money. Yes, he got paid because he deserved it. But I could not see Josh Allen, if he had to choose between keeping a guy around and taking a little bit extra or a little bit less, or taking extra and losing a guy, I think we all know what he would do. But not everybody's the same. Another reason to be satisfied with the way things are run in Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean, without question. And I mean, holy shit, basketball. I'm not a basketball guy either, but I could sit here and when it comes to, petty shit like that, I can run my mouth for hours.
That's why the NBA has become unwatchable to me, man. Yes. These guys, and that's why I'm so irritated with the way it's found itself into the NFL. It's not nearly as bad, and it never will be, because in the NBA, one guy, there are 5 players on the court. You know what I mean? Like, one guy, it's an immediate difference. With the NFL, yes, the quarterback is different, but Jimmy Garoppolo, not a top 15 quarterback in this league. He's in the NFC Championship last year. That's not happening in the NBA. So the problem I have is these guys, they're one, they're never on the same team almost year to year, and 2, when they are on a team, they take every other night off for load management and whatever else. So I just, the whole situation with Debo and Aaron Rodgers and Kyler Murray, it's very NBA-ish to me, and I don't like it, but that's just the new era, I think, and I think eventually we'll get used to it, but I don't think it won't be until it affects the Bills that we truly realize how tough it is to deal with this situation.
That is very, very fair. Until it does start to, because I feel like we are in like our own little bubble here, and we just kind of watch it all happen. And until it does,
since B. McDermott taking over, man, I mean, things have been smooth. If you're going to tell me the biggest issue for the Bills the last handful of seasons is Cole Beasley not getting a vaccine, I'll sign up for that all day. I'm fine with it.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Think about it. Out of all the controversy in the NFL, that's been the biggest issue for the Bills. That's it. Cole Beasley not getting a shot. You'd pray for stability like that. You don't find it,
Just to address a couple comments. So Pokemon says it isn't so much what teams want. I think it's about what teams need him. I think the Steelers should pick him up, give Mitch a head start.
Yeah.
One, I'm not sure off the top of my head if the Steelers could afford such a thing, but does Mitch Trubisky really get that much of a boost? Well, let me rephrase. Is Mitch Trubisky the starter, do you think, will be going into 2022?
Unless the Steelers get Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo here soon, which Cleveland would never deal him to Pittsburgh. But if they cut him, which it would be an incredible shock if they did, Steelers are the first team that picks him up, no question. But they'd have to cut him. I don't see it happening. I do see both those guys being moved Thursday. Well, Baker in particular. If you're not going to do it then, I don't know when the hell you're going to do it.
I know.
I think Mitch Trubisky immediately makes the Steelers better. The Steelers were a playoff team last year with Ben, who should have been in the intensive care unit. The guy couldn't walk. And I think Mitch Trubisky, I mean, we're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo here. Please let me know how much better Jimmy Garoppolo is than Mitch Trubisky. He isn't. Look around the league. Mitch Trubisky will be just fine in Pittsburgh. I think he makes them an even better team than they were last year. I have high expectations for Mitch Trubisky. His situation in Chicago was dog crap, and he still made the playoffs twice. And that offense, nothing special. Matt Nagy, nothing special. And they still found a way to make it into the playoffs. Mike Tomlin, one of the greatest in the league. I think he winds up starting. I do. Unfortunately, the situation with Dwayne Haskins makes that even more inevitable, it seems, which is absolutely beyond tragic, because I thought that those two were going to really duel out for the job. But with that situation occurring, you'd have to think, unless the Steelers make a move, which they still could, I would not be shocked to see Jimmy Garoppolo in Pittsburgh at all. But if I had to sign up, if I had to put a bet on it today, man, I think Mitch Trubisky starts. And I think Pittsburgh, they're no sleeper. I'll tell you that. They beat the Bills last year playing some pretty damn bad football. And I think the Steelers can definitely be a contender with Mitch Trubisky, the way that the organization's run.
Yeah, I think it's the Pittsburgh Steelers organization. I think it's almost like similar. I'll use this lightly, but when you look at it in certain respects, they're probably ran similar to the Bills. Tight ship, don't put up with a lot of bullshit at the end of the day. They're about getting the most out of the guys that they have on their roster. Every single player, I think, on that defense, they might not be superstars, but they got a lot of players that do their job. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. And I think that that's a place where players succeed because of the system and the schemes they play in. So the Steelers, you're right. I think in the AFC North, which at this point is a complete toss-up. Everybody's in it.
No kidding.
To compete for that division.
That's a very interesting division.
Yeah, definitely. The second recent news, I don't know if you saw this, because I'm not sure if it broke when you were on smoke break or not, but Darren Waller is being heavily linked to the Green Bay Packers. This one came completely out of left field. The Green Bay Packers, what do you do here? Are you shooting for the last 2 years here? You trade for Darren Waller, you give up. You probably are extra aggressive to try and get him here. You probably don't care about the next 5 or 6 years, because once Aaron Rodgers is gone, it's going to be a complete rebuild anyway. And then I'm kind of thinking they also try and trade up and get one of the better receivers too. And who knows where the Packers are looking at, in terms of the NFC and where they rank amongst the other top teams. Right now, I think they're still in the top tier, but I think if they added a Darren Waller and, top receiver in the draft, I think they're right back where they were last year.
I mean, if Green Bay management has an IQ above 1, they're going wide receiver in this draft. They refuse to do it for some odd reason. Hey, let's draft Jordan Love instead of getting another weapon on this offense. I mean, I don't know what the hell. They're going wide receiver. That would immediately make Green Bay a much better team than they are today. It doesn't make sense for Las Vegas. You also have the best team you've had in years. You let one of your main pieces go. I don't understand that. I don't know why they would do it. I mean, in that division too, you can't afford to let anything go. And I don't know why that they would want to do that. I don't know what they'd get for it, but it would have to be pretty sizable for me to do it. But for Green Bay, I think, I would sign up for that all day. And I think anybody in the Packers organization would too.
Absolutely. And that's been kind of the counterpoint. It's like, maybe the Packers are fully on board, of course, but the Raiders, why in God's name would they want to do it? And I've been hearing out some counterpoints. It's like, I guess he's going to be expecting a pretty large payday. He didn't play that much, or he played, but he wasn't as productive. He fought through a few injuries. Hunter Renfrow came on the scene pretty strong, and I think he kind of demanded a lot more targets. And now you got Davante Adams coming on the roster too. So, I mean, I guess I get it, but like you mentioned, you're in the AFC West. I mean, God forbid that you're any less powerful than you already are. You're going to be shooting yourself in the foot. And
the crazy thing is they have a great roster, and they're the fourth best team in that division. If you give up one of your main pieces, it's not boding any better for you. I don't know why they would do that unless they had some plan in place to get a decent amount of draft capital where they could go and address an area of need. But Green Bay is odd to me because that obviously makes sense, but they haven't addressed losing Davante Adams. Okay, who do they get? Sammy Watkins?
Yes.
Okay.
Literally.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, luckily for anybody in the NFC, it's so bad. I mean, Green Bay will walk to the playoffs. Tampa Bay will walk to the NFC Championship. Green Bay doesn't need to be as good as they've been in the past years to go the distance, but even when they were that good, they couldn't go the distance. So I'm kind of out on Green Bay, Caveman. I'm out on Aaron Rodgers. Last year left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't even think he plays out the duration of this contract. Oh, wow. The whole situation seems bad. I think that they're not as good this year as they've been in years past. Frankly, I don't even think it's going to be close. Yes, they'll still make the playoffs. Yes, they'll still be, one of the better teams within the NFC, but that's not saying a whole lot. They're going to need to make some moves on offense in order to take advantage of the guy that you just gave up all that money to keep. Losing Davante Adams to me, man, was a huge, huge blow to any credibility that Green Bay had going into this season.
Oh, I mean, I've been not as high on Green Bay as, the next guy. And I hate, a lot of people love to point to the Packers when comparing them to the Bills. Or we want to run, an offense like the Packers. Look, Aaron Rodgers is doing this, and they got a good run game, they do good balance, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and I hate the Bills to Packers comparison in any respect, right? I mean, they're a complete mess of an organization, or at least they have been for the last couple of years, trying to retain their Hall of Fame quarterback. Not to mention, I mean, they've been great, but I mean, to me, it doesn't matter how great you are consistently if you're not going to eventually take one home. I mean, it's been 10 plus years now. You've won 2 Super Bowls when you've had 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in your entire career or entire franchise's history.
It's
insane.
That's
not success to me. I mean, how many years can you be good and not end up taking home that trophy? And to me, that's why when people say, I want to do this like the Packers, or the Packers do this well, it's like, that to me is not, I don't want that. I want to win it. I want to take it all home.
I think the one comparison to Green Bay is constantly the utilization of the run game in conjunction with Aaron Rodgers' insane numbers. That would be great. I'd absolutely love that. I wouldn't shy away from that. But you're right. I don't understand. Green Bay is held on a pedestal for a team that chokes every single year in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers will go down as one of the greatest to ever do it. He's also had some of the biggest choke jobs in league history in the playoffs, and nobody talks about it. You just made a great point. You're talking about an organization who went back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks with 2 Super Bowls to show for it. Green Bay won theirs with Rodgers early in his career. They've had every chance in the book to get back, and they have found a way to lose every single time. For God's sakes, they lost to Jimmy G at home and didn't score a touchdown, or they didn't score a touchdown after the first quarter, or whatever the hell. It was brutal. Not to mention the unbelievable losses to Arizona throughout the years. The biggest choke job in the history of the NFL outside of the Falcons-Patriots Super Bowl, losing to Seattle in the NFC Championship with like a minute and a half left, up 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
They have a track record that is maybe the Saints are right there too. The Saints have had their fair share, but nobody ever talks about that for some reason with Rodgers and Green Bay. There should be no expectation for them to win anything this year. They couldn't do it last year in a great spot in order to get it done. I don't understand. I don't see how it would be any better this year. I don't.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to keep beating the horse on the Packers here, but I mean, I thought they should have gotten rid of Rodgers the year before last year, like going into last season, I should say. I mean, at that point, get as much as you can out of them. You got Jordan Love. You could probably ended up traded Devontae Adams anyway. Why wait? And you weren't going to be able to. You weren't able to make the Super Bowl before Brady got to your conference. Now you got the Rams paying for every single God-given superstar that they can find. You got to compete against them. The Arizona Cardinals went on a 9-game bender to start the year. Luckily, they fell off, or else they would have had to compete with them too. Then you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tom Brady, as I just mentioned. It's like they couldn't get to the big game before all of this was happening, when they were absolutely the top team in that conference. And now,
in a god awful division, mind you, too. I mean, they could walk to a division title every year. And that's like the magic elixir to Brady's success. It was being in the AFC East. It was so bad his entire career. They had a home playoff game almost every season because of it. Green Bay was in a similar spot. And when you compare those two organizations, it's apples to oranges in comparison to how they utilize their Hall of Fame quarterback. It's not even close.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's probably enough Packers talk for now. We're just killing the tangent conversation.
I mean, listen, the NFC, you're lucky to hear anybody talk about them at all this year. Who the hell cares? Just we'll talk about them when the playoffs starts.
Honest to God, we're not going to care about who makes it until we have to deal with them, right?
Wait till this schedule comes out. I'd be shocked if it wasn't 75% primetime games in favor of the AFC. There's no way it's not.
I kind of now that you say it, I kind of do want to pay attention to that once they release the schedule.
Well, even the best NFC games too, like Green Bay comes to Buffalo. That's like a once a decade thing. So that's big. But outside of like the Rams, Bucks, and the Packers, I mean, where's the excitement? The NFC East is terrible. Of course, they'll plug in the Packers and the Cowboys and the Eagles and in one of the slots, the Giants too. They have to because of base, but it's just bad ball, really. I mean, the AFC, holy crap, man. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. I don't think we ever will again. This is unbelievable what this conference has turned into.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to be I think this is going to be a season for the 80s. We're going to see, this is going to be one of those years where there's going to be a team that goes sub 500 that probably would be a 12-13 win team any other given season. That's
the crazy thing. There's going to be a team sub 500 in the NFC that makes the playoffs. There's going to be at least one team sub 10 wins in the AFC who misses the playoffs. Or excuse me, not sub, above 10 wins. So that just goes to show you the difference. Go ahead and try to fill 7 playoff spots right now in the NFC. Outside of the Rams, Bucks, throw the Packers in there. I mean, I tried doing this the other night, picking 7 playoff teams for the AFC, and it was like solving more. It was like solving the theory of relativity. It was impossible. With the NFC, I mean, you could just throw a dart at a board. Yeah. And whoever it lands on, fine, throw them in. Who the hell cares? So that just goes to show you the gap between the two, you know?
Oh, yeah. Without question. And I'm looking forward to it. But we have some Q&A to do next. We're going to change over the Q&A background, change the banner over. First question. You talked about it a lot. I was listening to Smoke Break, so I do have a lot of your opinions in mind with this one. But what do we do? Pick 25. What if the opinion's different? What do you think the Bills should do, and what do you think the Bills will do?
Well, what you should do, to me, if you're looking at the biggest glaring hole, it's cornerback, and there's not many glaring holes, if any, on this team. I mean, yeah, there's some spots on the team that are weaker than others, but there really isn't a hole. There's a hole at cornerback too. You lose Levi Wallace, you let him go for nothing to Pittsburgh. That told me that you had a plan in place. That's the only position that hasn't been addressed in the offseason that needed to be addressed. It led me to believe it was going to happen in the upcoming draft year. Although the more time that goes on, the closer we get, the more it seems to be going in another direction. I mean, I personally think if in a cornerback draft like this, where you're seeing like 6 to 8 first-round grade cornerbacks, if you can get a guy who is of the talent level of Tre'Davious White and have those two on opposite sides with Hyde and Poyer in the background, forget it. That's one of the best in the league as far as backfield. So that to me is what they should do. What they will do, I'd be a fool to guess. Brandon Beane, he's just, I'm a firm believer this is the best year of his career. What he has done this offseason is remarkable, and that's considering what he's already done in the past. And it's been surprising. Nobody thought Von Miller was coming to this team. At the same time, I don't think anybody thought that O.J. Howard was coming to this team. So the guess is as good as anybody's. I think the logical move is cornerback, but there's also a variety of logical moves. Do you want to go running back for the first time in forever and finally solidify a running back one? Could that bring this offense to another level we couldn't even imagine? That's a play. Do you go wide receiver and just make this weaponry just unbelievably unstoppable? To me, that's a luxury pick. I personally love Jahan Dotson out of Penn State. I think he would be a terrific asset for this team. I think any first-round wide receiver would be. But to me, there's other needs to address before you added another wide receiver. So as much as I would love that, I don't condone it. I think I would be in favor of the running back. If they go Breece Hall, I'm cool with it. But if it were up to me, I just envision this offense and what it already is being paired with a defense that's already damn good. If they add another corner and mirror Tre'Davious White in a conference like we were just talking about, where almost every single team is capable of running the score up, if you can be the one team that has the secondary to limit that and combine that with the offense you already have, that's a lights out lethal combination. So I think they do go corner. I do. I think that with the amount of talent there, the need, it makes sense. But to guess what I think happens would be foolish. I don't know. Yeah. That's why I'm excited. This draft in itself isn't overly exciting. There's not a lot of sexy names, but it's exciting because I think for the first time in a long time, no one really knows what the hell is going to happen. And that's why I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, everybody has their own opinions, but fuck if I know what Brandon Beane's thinking right now. What he's got in mind. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, last year I thought, the possibilities were, it was big running back. No running back corner was in that conversation last year as well. And then we ended up taking Gregory Rousseau. And I mean, at least to me, I'm not a big draft guy. We went over it a couple times already now, but I mean, that wasn't really on my radar, at least as far as I was concerned. So
me either.
By surprise. So who knows what he's got in mind right now. Part of my opinion is will, kind of float into the show a little later on. So I don't want to expose that.
Love it. Keep them guessing.
But I would also say corner is the move personally. I think it just makes the most sense. And at 25, it's a cornerback deep draft, and you want to be able to get your thinking we've seemed to be right on the same track a lot of the show, and having that secondary with a guy like that next to Poyer Hyde, Trey White when he comes back. I mean, you can't beat it. I mean, my God. And people, I get, it's becoming an offensive based league. You score points, you win games. I get it. But like you mentioned, if you're that one team that can hold that opposing offense to one less touchdown than you, that's going to be the deciding factor at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, you already know that you can play a shootout, but can you stop a shootout? I mean, can you? I mean, look no further than the Chiefs game last year. You know you can hang, but do you have what another team doesn't in the ability to, like you said perfectly? All you got to do, you don't have to hold the Chiefs to 10 points. You just got to hold them to not score in 13 seconds. And if you can get a guy to do that, or if you can get a guy to stop one of those scores, that makes all the difference. All the difference.
Without question. And Pokemon poses an interesting question for you. Should we trade Edmonds for a higher pick? I'm not sure what he is defining as a higher pick. What is the prospective opinion on trading Edmonds in your eyes?
To me, he's the only player on the team that, one, is movable, that has value. Actually, that's the only point. I don't know why I said one. To me, Tremaine Edmonds is the one guy on this team of value that Beane and the Bills could move off of and not. I don't want to say not regret it, because he could definitely go somewhere and blossom. And I think he could do that with the Bills too. He's got too much upside as an athlete. But I think you could move off of him and not be incredibly regretful of it based on what you have on this defense currently, and based on him probably not being what you thought he'd be at this point in his career. He's been solid, but I don't think he's been the freak that they drafted him to be. Yep. Things could change this year. This D-line just got a hell of a lot better. Does that open up the gates for Tremaine Edmunds? That, to me, is why I don't let him leave. If I keep him this year, and if he flourishes with a much better D-line, then that, to me, shows you what works with this linebacker core that you have, because that's been a big knock. The big knock has been, well, the D-line hasn't been good enough, and that's why Tremaine Edmunds has suffered. Okay, well, the D-line's pretty damn good now, so why don't we see how he operates with a good D-line? Yep. I don't think the Bills trade anybody this draft. I don't see it. But if there was a guy that has value on the roster that they could move that wouldn't overwhelmingly shock me, it would be Tremaine Edmunds.
Yeah, I mean, I also don't think, a trade is going to happen. If one were to happen, I do think out of anybody on the roster, Edmunds is probably the first guy that comes to mind. I guess in my opinion, I probably am not taking him. Hypothetically, if somebody came out of the woodworks to offer us a third, I think I'm holding on to him if the third round pick's an offer. Yeah,
I mean, I just wonder what I know that I said that there's value, but you have to wonder what that value is. I mean, is it worth giving him up to? Because you're not moving up half the draft for him. You know what I mean? No, so I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze there. Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only route that I see Tremaine Edmunds getting us value where it's worth it for us to make this move. I think, at this point, it's up in the air whether or not Tremaine Edmunds comes out to be, blossoms the way we are kind of hoping. I think it's kind of, a coin flip at the moment. So I think other teams could come out of the woodwork, maybe like a Pittsburgh Steelers hypothetically.
Pair him with his brother. That'd be something.
Yeah, exactly. And they're a defense that, they're notorious for putting guys, we were just talking about it, in successful situations. They can come out and say, you know what, he's got athletic upside. Doesn't look like you guys have been getting the most out of him. We'll offer you a second. You know what? I might consider that. But I don't think it's, I'm not a Tremaine Edmunds hater. I'm not a lover. I think he does deserve an opportunity to really still show that he can do it. And I think, as you mentioned, this year is the perfect opportunity to do that. So
I'm just like you. I'm not a lover or a hater either, which is odd because there seems to be no middle ground. You either want him gone or you want him forever. I don't understand that. The other reason I just thought of the reason I said one earlier, because the second reason was his contract's coming up. So if you have no anticipation to re-sign him, then trading him right now would make sense no matter what you get. If you can get, because if you do it now, you're going to get much more now than when the contract is up, because then they know that you're in a corner. So it wouldn't be crazy for it to happen, but I don't know if it's necessary. I keep hearing, people wanting to trade up, and I guess it would all depend on who it is. I mean, I don't think you trade up for a corner. There's too many of them in this draft. There's going to be a very solid guy who falls to 25.
Absolutely.
Bryce Hall's not predicted to go before the Bills, and if you think he is, I guess maybe that's when you move up. But I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if it's necessary to give up assets right now to move up. I think the Bills can get plenty done at 25 and at 57 in the second round. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's worth it.
I couldn't agree more. I think, that's actually kind of part of what I want to touch on a little later on. So I'll touch on that a little bit.
Nice.
So let's go on. Let's move on to the second Q&A question. If you think a QB will be taken in the first round, which quarterback will it be and what team drafts them? I know you said you're not, big into the draft, but hypothetically, throw your best shot.
Well, Kenny Pickett will be the first. I was looking at a mock draft that had the Eagles taking him, and that shocked the hell out of me. I don't know what the hell the logic is there. What is it with these teams now who just, it essentially would be what Green Bay did, what San Francisco did, in a roundabout way, what Arizona did. If you got a quarterback, especially Jalen Hurts, who hasn't been bad on a brutal roster, give me a freaking break. Plus, you move off of Doug Peterson. The whole organization changed. Hell, they made the playoffs with Jalen Hurts on a bad roster. I don't know why you move off of him, especially for a guy like he hasn't turned any heads. There's a reason no one's projected to take him in the top 10. I think a quarterback does go in round one. I think it is Kenny Pickett. Who, I don't know. But it all comes down to what happens with Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo. I have to think that at the very least, Baker Mayfield, I don't know what the hell San Francisco has going on. But you have to think, because listen, Baker Mayfield ain't showing back up to that locker room in Cleveland. No way. And unless you want to cut him, which would be dumb, get something while you can. And that happens Thursday. That could alter the market. The market for where one of these quarterbacks in the draft goes. Because I'd much rather, as much as I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan, I'd much rather have a guy who is somewhat established than some project in a quarterback draft class where there's almost no certainty at all that any of these guys are going to wind up being anything.
Totally. And, as far as Baker goes, I don't know. Who knows what they have in mind for Baker. For Jimmy G, last week I talked about this with my guest Jake, and I came up with 3 hypothetical situations for what could happen with Jimmy Garoppolo, and who knows, and I doubt any of them even happened. But the first one was he gets traded prior to the draft, and my opinion was to the Panthers. They apparently today the Panthers said they were out on Baker. If they for some reason become desperate within the next 48 hours and they want to move on from Sam Darnold, and they suddenly realize they got to figure it out, and they don't like the draft class, and Jimmy Garoppolo's out there, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to bring in a bridge quarterback like that.
Yep.
But the second scenario was, which I think for some reason could end up happening, is forgot it last week too. Damn it. Third scenario is the 49ers hold on to Jimmy Garoppolo and they give him to the Browns once Deshaun Watson is suspended for 8, 9, maybe 2 years. Who knows how long this dude is suspended for? They have Jacoby Brissett as the backup. I mean, are they going to feel confident going to a season where they think they should be contending for something with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, knowing Baker Mayfield's not going to return? I mean, that was a little bit of a little twist scenario that I threw out there.
That's a unique idea. I think he's suspended 6 games. That's what I think. I think Jacoby Brissett, it's all going to come down to their scheduling. I hope God the Bills play him within those first, because they're on their schedule. I think he gets 6 games. That would make the most sense to me. I would say. Jimmy G, I'm looking through here. Here's teams that I think need a quarterback, right? Detroit needs a quarterback. The Giants need a quarterback, but they're not going to do it. They're I don't know. Pray for Brian Dable. That is the biggest downgrade of all time. I don't know and I'm telling you right now, by the way, you got to think, or I'm firmly confident in this. It's Tyrod Taylor's in New York now, right? Or is it Teddy Bridgewater? It's Tyrod, right?
Yeah.
Bridgewater. Where did Bridgewater go?
He went to. Where did he go?
The reason I get them confused is because they both got moved at a similar time, and they're both. Oh, he went to Miami. My bad. That's why I'm thinking of it, because there's situations where I predict both guys will start. I think Bridgewater starts over Tua at some point. I think Tyrod starts over Daniel Jones at some point. And that will be when the wheels start turning finally in New York to move off of Daniel Jones. I don't understand it. But as we continue here, I say Detroit needs a quarterback. The Giants do, but they won't. So I'm gonna rule them out for now. Detroit, Carolina, Atlanta, Seattle, the Saints. You could argue the Steelers for sure. I don't think they're sold on Trubisky. So there you go. You got a handful, right? And if all of those teams I just mentioned, every single one of their situations would immediately be made better with either one of those quarterbacks. So, I don't understand the Jimmy G situation. I just don't get it. Is Trey Lance not good? Is that what you're telling me? Because that's what Green Bay told us about Jordan Love. He's not good.
Yeah, definitely. Jordan
Love's not good. That signed, sealed, delivered. He's not good. You moved up to the first round to draft him as a replacement for Aaron Rodgers, and it was an utter disaster. It's a way different scenario for San Francisco because they moved up to 3 to get Trey Lance. And I just don't get what the mindset is here. They should have moved off of Jimmy G last year, and they didn't. And now it's even tougher. You go to the NFC Championship. Like I said, not because of them, but if you're going to do it, you got to do it now. If you keep Jimmy G around another year, then I don't know what the hell you're doing for Trey Lance's development. I just don't understand. Yeah. So one of these teams has to go after him, and one of these teams has to go after Baker. I could see Baker going. Man, I'm trying to think. See, the problem with Baker is if I'm a coach, GM, I don't want him. Yeah, he's solid at the position compared to what I have. I don't like his character. And if I'm running an organization, I just don't want him to be a part of it. And figuring out, trying to guess where he goes, to me, it's anybody's guess. I thought Carolina, but you just said that was out today officially.
That was for Jimmy G. Or no, that was for Baker. No, I'm sorry, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
Carolina's out on Baker.
Detroit would make sense. I mean, but good God. I don't know. I don't know if Baker starts over Goff. I don't think he's any better than Goff, really.
They're paying Goff a lot of money for him to ride the bench. So I think
the more you look, man, the more you look, and Chewy's coming in here saying I can see Baker going to Houston. Yeah. Is he any better than
Mills?
Davis Mills, thank you. Is he any better than Davis Mills, who had a pretty decent year last year regarding the circumstances? And from what I've heard, Houston's pretty high on what he was able to deliver last year. Yeah. You look through these teams, Caveman, and you quickly realize the market for Baker Mayfield is virtually non-existent. He will wind up somewhere, but his days of being a bona fide starter might have already been over before we realized it. It's really not a wide market for him. And you pair that with the kind of guy he is, very problematic personality. It's tough to see where he fits. He'll definitely go somewhere, but where, I don't know. I think we'll find this out Thursday, though, because if we don't, I just don't know what the plan is, because we already know there's no value for him, really. You might as well just get something before you cut him.
Yep.
The Jimmy G situation, though, to me, a whole different ballgame. I just don't know what the hell is going on there.
I think,
who would you rather have, Baker or Jimmy G? Who would you rather have?
This is such a dooming question. Like if I was a general manager, and if I was the Carolina Panthers right now, and I was looking at the market, you have Kenny Pickett, Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis in the draft. Then you got Sam Darnold. Well, I don't know if I mentioned him, but Sam Darnold obviously with your team, and then you got Jimmy Garoppolo and Baker Mayfield. I mean, holy shit. I mean, for a team that went out and I thought they could do something by trading for Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots last year. So I think they probably thought that they could make a little bit of a run after the way they started to make a playoff spot. Now you're going to this season and your question mark is even bigger than it was last year going into 2022 with their quarterback position. It's like, what do you do? And to answer your question, oh my God. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo, I guess, has proven more consistently that he can do it when he's given the weaponry and the support system. Whereas Baker Mayfield, I mean, I get he played through an injury last year, but my good God, he could. I mean, it was one of the easiest situations in football. All you got to do is
no question.
Big job, and you're throwing it over the middle to, when Odell was there, you got Jarvis Landry, who's still one of the better slot receivers in the NFL. I mean, holy shit. How much easier can your job get? And he wasn't just physically horrible. I mean, his game mentally was miserable, and he was making reads left and right that I could have made better.
Agreed.
I mean, it was putrid. So I'm going to say Jimmy Garoppolo just because I think he's proven more consistently that he can do it.
I'd agree with you. And back to the point, I know I said I'd rather have a veteran than a rookie, but the one argument for the rookie, not outside of the potential upside, is the fact that you don't have to pay him for 5 years. You're going to have to pay Baker and you're going to have to pay Jimmy G. You're not going to have to pay him top of the money, but you're going to have to pay him, and it makes rebuilding a hell of a lot harder. And all of these teams that need a quarterback are obviously in a rebuilding stage. So the more you talk about it, man, the more it really shrinks the locations that could potentially involve. I think Baker Mayfield more so than Jimmy G. I think if you lined up all the GMs in the league, I think the general consensus would be Jimmy G. The one benefit to Baker Mayfield, I think, is the age difference. But I don't know how you could in good faith take Baker on your team thinking that that's going to be a solution. If anything, it's a stopgap. I don't think anybody's taking on Baker Mayfield for the future. But time will tell. It'll be interesting to see where he winds up. I'm definitely intrigued. And I'm also intrigued to see how he handles it, because it is inevitable that he's going to go to a situation far worse than Cleveland. And if you thought he had issues there, Wait till he winds up in a spot where they're winning 4. Going to be interesting.
Oh, yeah. And, like you said a couple of times now, draft day will be very telling for a lot of different situations, not only the Browns, the 49ers, or the Bills. I mean, it's going to be a big day for a lot of teams. So moving on to the third question and answer. This is one I think will open another big can of worms. What were the best and worst moves, in your opinion, of the 2022 offseason up to this point?
Wow. For the Bills in general or just anybody?
Anybody.
Wow. God, do we have 2 more hours? I mean, holy shit, the amount of moves. I'd have to say the number one overall move was Denver getting Russell Wilson. I mean, that was a blockbuster move. In my opinion, Russell Wilson's one of my favorite players in the league. You want to talk about the complete opposite of Baker Mayfield. He is everything and anything you could possibly wish for a franchise. Consistently the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee, a recent winner, an incredible athlete, an incredible human being who was underutilized dramatically towards the end of his career in Seattle. And he's finally going to get a new start in an area that has been looking for a replacement since Peyton Manning, since he left. And they're going to give Russell Wilson the keys to the Ferrari here, and I have to think he utilizes it. That was a major move for Denver. It was a necessary move because if they didn't go quarterback, they're finishing last place in that division without even having to think twice about it. Dynamic for Denver. So to me, massive move. That was the top move of the offseason. I would say the second best move was Davante Adams to the Raiders. I think that, once again, talking about a division that is just an absolute gauntlet, you have got to be the best team you can possibly be. And I don't think and the reason I think it's so great is nobody thought Davante Adams was moving until he did. And that was an unbelievable move by the Raiders, who I think Derek Carr deserves it. That's why I love the move so much. I love Derek Carr, the bullshit he had to put up with last year. And he still made the playoffs. And they had a chance to beat the Bengals on the last drive. Derek Carr, I mean, you want to talk about a saint of a human being. That guy was a life raft for a drowning franchise last year. I'm happy for him that he got Davante Adams big time.
I am so happy you said that. Like, when I told you we were on the same wavelength earlier, I mean, the Derek Carr love relationship I've had over the last few months since the last season started. I mean, I have more respect for Derek Carr than I have for any other human being I've had here. Like,
I just compare it to myself. I wouldn't have lasted 20 minutes compared to the crap he's put up with. And he handled it. I mean, let's just put it this way. Put Baker Mayfield in Vegas last year and let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. Derek Carr's dealing with somebody's committing a felony once every other day out on that team. And he brings him to the playoffs. I mean, it was an incredible feat of leadership and just poise. I've never seen anything like it. And I said this as the year wound down last year. They needed. I think I tweeted it out. I don't know if I said it on a show, but they really should have invented an award for Derek Carr last year because he deserved something. And I guess the reward or the award is getting Davante Adams. Just a major move by Vegas, and I think that it makes him a contender. It absolutely does, 100%. Thinking about other moves, I think Khalil Mack to the Chargers. Man, I know I'm sticking in the West here, but just who didn't make a move in NFC West? Pairing up with Bosa is that's a hell of a move. That's a hell of a move for an offensive powerhouse division. I think the Chargers might have the best defense in that division. You could argue Denver, but you listen, Khalil Mack pairing up with Bosa, that's no joke. I think the Chargers are going to be a hell of a threat this year, and they should be. They have a roster to do it. Justin Herbert's one of the best in the league. How they haven't made the playoffs yet is incredible to me. I think Brandon Staley knows his job could be on the line. just because that talent is too good to not make the playoffs. So I think that they really arrived this year. You want to know what, this is an odd one, but I think one of the better moves of the offseason was the Chiefs letting Tyreek Hill go to the Dolphins.
Yeah,
I don't think that was a good move for Miami at all. If I had to be on one side or the other of that trade, I would have taken Kansas City side all day. They not only have an incredible weaponry unit still without Tyreek Hill, but they knew that with the cap situation and Patrick Mahomes' situation, their defensive situation, Kelsey's situation, something was going to have to give. And Miami gave them a king's ransom. And I think that they're going to be able to put that to good use because Kansas City is a well-run organization. Miami's the complete opposite of a well-run organization. They are an absolute dumpster fire. And I keep hearing this, and even some of the Bills fans, watch out for Miami. Why? Why am I watching out for Miami? Congrats, you got Tyreek Hill. And don't get me wrong, they have a great offense. Their quarterback is Tua. I'm sorry. I am sorry. Your offense can be the best in the league on paper. Cleveland's was. How'd that pan out? And Tua is half the quarterback Baker Mayfield is. Miami doesn't concern me one bit. I think it was a good move for Kansas City, and we're going to realize pretty quickly. Miami hilariously gave up way too much for a Band-Aid that's falling off. And nothing's going to work over there until they address the quarterback situation. So, and also to that point, you want to know who won in that trade was the Bills. I'm fine seeing Tyreek Hill twice a year against Miami.
Honestly.
Because you take Tyreek Hill out of the way in the off or the postseason. Listen, Tyreek Hill doesn't play that in that divisional game. Bills are going on to the Super Bowl. It's simple as that. Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, he's one of the greatest players at any position in the entire league, but he has to be in a situation like he was in Kansas City in order for it to work because he is a very specific type of player. It's kind of similar to Deebo Samuel. Like, I don't think Deebo Samuel is the same player in New York. You know what I mean? So I think the Bills benefit here because you'd much rather face him in Miami's scheme with Tua throwing him the ball than Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball in a game-winning situation in the playoffs. So Bills are a big winner there. And then, of course, obviously the Bills getting Von Miller. One, it's a great move because nobody saw it coming. Two, the Bills finally have no excuse when it comes to defensive pressure or edge pressure and defensive line presence. That's been an Achilles heel for the Bills. They tried to address it last year, first 2 rounds, but they haven't really had the guy. They just paid Von Miller to be the guy. And we'll see this year. I've always felt this since the Bills really started to get good the last couple of seasons. They were an edge rusher away from really moving on. That's why they got killed against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. They couldn't get any pressure. So it's a massive move for the Bills. The reason I don't think it's one of the best moves compared to the others, I think it's a short-term move. And there's no way Von Miller plays that whole contract. But it's one of the best moves of the offseason because the Bills realize where they are. Brandon Beane realizes they're in a window of 2 to 3 years max to get this done while the going is, or while the iron's still hot. And getting Von Miller into that situation was big for the Bills.
Yeah, and to that point, you mentioned that Brandon Beane's recognizing that window, and nobody likes to question Brandon Beane because I think he is a top 3 general manager in the NFL, without a doubt. But
no doubt.
I mean, I at some points questioned whether or not Brandon Beane, really was realizing the opportunity that we had in this window of opportunity to try and take home the Super Bowl. And I was very big, going into last offseason on, taking advantage of this opportunity and trying to make more win now moves. And that wasn't the case last offseason. We did the complete opposite. And I just felt like he wasn't acknowledging the situation that we currently had in front of us as much as he should have been. And I'm glad that, we did both this offseason. We not only addressed the win now window, but we also addressed the future. And I think, to your point again, that Von Miller not only addresses that short-term window, but there are the long-term benefits of what Von Miller brings to this locker room. And, we can go on about that too.
Well, that's why I think this is the best offseason or the best season he's had because of what you just said. He showed characteristics he hasn't showed in the past. He stuck to his guns and said, I'm building through the draft. That's what he did, and it worked. Now that the house is established, you go and get the shiny add-ons, and he's finally in a position to be able to do that, and he wasted no time doing it. He did it in every area that needed to be addressed, the offensive line, the defensive line, and the edge pressure, the wide receiver and tight end position, all addressed, all of it. The one and only position that hasn't been is corner, and that's why, back to our previous topic, it just seems to make sense that it gets done in the draft. And it will. It's just, will it be done in the first round? That's the question.
That is a perfect segue. So we might as well move right into the hot take of the day. I got my hot take when I know we just met about an hour ago, but you'll learn quick that when it comes to opinions that I have and I find to feel strongly about, it's hard for me to get off of that hill.
That's good. You stick to your guns. I like
Breece Hall at 25, in my opinion, is a complete waste of a resource. I mean, I was watching Smoke Break, and Rev was going on about the benefits and the positives, and I wanted to jump through the screen. And I mean, Rev's a great guy. Like, it's not nothing against Rev, but it's just like the mindset of wanting a running back at 25, just for every reason that you could think of, is so baffling. And there's so much evidence against it. And I get we have all the other pieces. I get the defense works well no matter who's at what position, and that's just the scheme we run. McDermott and Frazier. I get it. But it's like at 25, I've done mock after mock. The earliest I saw Breece Hall, I did like 10 or 15 earlier today. The earliest he went was 45 to the Ravens. And you're going to tell me we're going to take, if he didn't go to the Bills, that is. And you're telling me we're going to take him at 25. I get these mocks aren't the most accurate thing in the world, but we're going to take him at 25 when he's not even projected to be a threat to go anywhere else until midway through the second round. I mean, there's just so many things that just don't make sense to me when taking a running back here. And I'm all for taking a running back from round 2 for the rest of the draft. Just round 1, there's just no reason. And I'm not even pushing for a corner, which is where I would personally go. Just anything else. Just running back, it's so recyclable is I guess a good word. And it drives me nuts that it's such a high possibility.
You're absolutely right. Here's my thoughts on the Breece Hall situation and the running back situation in general. Taking running back in round 1 has become taboo. It has become a unintelligent move in the eyes of the majority of the NFL landscape. If you look, though, at where these running backs typically wind up going, the biggest issue in taking a running back in round 1 is that oftentimes the teams who take them are teams that are already struggling.
Yes.
So you look at New York drafting Saquon. That was one of the worst, and this is coming from somebody who's a Penn State fan and a massive Saquon Barkley fan. That was one of the worst draft picks ever. Yeah. That draft class was loaded with quarterback talent, obviously, and they go with Saquon Barkley. Yes, of course, he was probably the best prospect in the league, but you do not take a running back that high, and it has not even come close to paying off for them. I don't even know how they justify re-signing him. I don't think they do. I think they are going to have to move off of him. Then you got Najee Harris as of late going to Pittsburgh, and they're in a very middle ground right now. Travis Etienne goes to the Jaguars. They're a complete dumpster fire. And then, Jonathan Taylor goes to Indianapolis, and he's the best player on their team, but they didn't get him until round 2. I completely understand what you're saying. Running back in round 1 is a really tough move to justify. The reason I don't mind it for Buffalo is because they're not one of those teams. They are a team that is already completely built. The one thing we have yet to see on this team, this loaded team, is a Buffalo Bills team with an elite running game or something that even comes close to resembling it. The Bills' run game has been average to mediocre at best. If they believe that Breece Hall can be a guy that propels them above mediocrity at the run game, I think that does a world of wonders for the Bills offense. And I think that it can elevate it to a place that we didn't even know was possible. We have not seen this Bills team with an adequate run game under Josh Allen. Josh Allen has been the run game. We haven't had a running back since LaShawn McCoy who has truly been a threat to any other team. If we can get a running back in place that a defense has to respect. Just imagine how much that opens up Josh Allen to do an infinite amount more than he could without an established run game. We're talking about an increase in production and play action. We're talking about less running for Josh Allen himself, which will preserve his health. It'll prevent him from getting injured. He gets hit an incredible amount compared to most quarterbacks, and I understand he's built to take it, but nobody's built to take it for the long haul. I think if we can get a guy in there that not only elevates the offense, but also takes the ball out of Josh Allen's hands in the run game, I think it's an absolute benefit. I also think at 25, in the current situation the Bills are in, you can almost justify going running back. I don't think you could justify it if the Bills were a fringe playoff team, but the Bills are a Super Bowl contender. And if they feel like they're one dynamic piece on offense away, well, I think it makes more sense to go running back than it does wide receiver, because you already have a pretty damn good loaded wide receiver locker room. You can't say the same about your running back situation. I think it's just worth it to see what the Bills could be with it. We just don't know. That, to me, the possibilities are what makes me intrigued about running back at 25. But it would not necessarily be my choice. I agree with you. I think that the chances of it not being what you to me are a lot higher than going with any other player, I think. Because like you said, even if Breece Hall winds up being not, let's just say this. Let's just say Breece Hall doesn't wind up being Emmitt Smith, but he winds up being a very solid running back, better than what we currently have, but not the cream of the crop of the league. Yeah. Come contract time, you're looking at a similar situation to what the Bills or the Giants are looking at with Saquon Barkley. You probably move off of him, and that to me is worth it because you had a guy in place who was better than what you currently had, and you were able to utilize him during this Super Bowl window. But your points are all adequate, man. Look at last year. Every single elite running back in this league got hurt. Every single one of them. Kamara got hurt. Derrick Henry got hurt. Saquon Barkley was hurt. Christian McCaffrey hurt. Even if you have the guy, history will tell you that it's not for very long. And even if it is, it's not gonna be a smooth sail. So, and it's bad when I thought Derrick Henry just was impervious to getting hurt. As soon as I saw him get hurt, that to me was the icing on the cake. Like, a running back in this league can just not stay healthy. It's impossible. Yeah.
And it's honestly sad because, it used to be such a running back dominated league where most offenses were just centralized around one bell cow that just dominated the football game from first quarter to fourth quarter. And it's such a different way offenses are ran. And it's like, not only that, in my opinion, at least, I know some people view Breece Hall is the unanimous best running back in this draft, but I'm no expert. But when I listen to the experts, a lot of people are saying Kenneth Walker's, he should be above Breece Hall. And it's like, and you add that factor to the mix too. It's like, you're going to tell me, and I get it. I'm not saying Kenneth Walker would be, a good choice for us just because of the different play style and, the different value he brings to us. I wouldn't agree with the choice in him, but you're telling me I'm going to sit here and be, satisfied, which I'll be happy and I'll trust Brandon Beane if that is the pick. But with a guy that isn't even the unanimous best back in this draft. And we're, in my opinion, reaching at 25 for him. And, last year, Najee and Travis Etienne were drafted high. Etienne got hurt. Harris had a decent season, but I think you could easily make an argument that Javonte Williams, who went early second, had a better year than him. Sure. So it's like, I don't know. This conversation can go head over heels. And it feels like last year I felt like it was a lot more hostile, like running back against no running back, and it was really clashing. This year, I think a lot more people are open to the idea. I'm still in my little niche corner of not wanting it, but we'll see.
Well, I think the more you hear about it, the more that you're not going to need to worry. I think that I think there's a reason we keep hearing about it. That tells me it's not happening. That's just how I feel. You never get tips like that this late towards the draft and they wind up coming true. They're almost always lies. Always.
That's what I think the smoke screen was all about. I think Chris Sims said it today.
I know.
They're really intrigued.
And I don't think he I think he definitely had a source that felt that way, but I think there was a reason for that source. I think that there's a reason that that's getting out, you know.
Brandon Beane doesn't tip his hand to anybody or any source, any nothing.
I mean, there wasn't a sniff of Von Miller going to the Bills until it was the contract was signed. So, you know.
All right, so hell of a lot of conversation. We still got a bit left, but this is where the knowledge gets put to the test. This is
boy, okay.
The most anticipated segment of the show, the Caveman quiz game. Just for a quick rundown for anybody that does not know how the quiz game works, if I can find my overlay. We got the rules. The quiz game, 5 NFL quiz questions. The question categories include recent events, stats, history, draft, and football IQ. You can choose between each question for easy, medium, and hard. Easy's 10, medium 20 points, hard 30 points, 15 seconds per question, but I'm relatively lenient about that. And you get you're fighting to be etched on the leaderboards, where Jake is the leader with 60. Justice is at 50. Can you take over?
Oh, let's find out. I'm very nervous. So let's see how I do.
All right. So the first question, as I mentioned, is a recent events question. These are, just about offseason moves for the most part. Mm-hmm. So do you want the easy, the medium, or the hard question?
Let's go hard for the recent events.
Hard. All right. The hard question is, where did tight end Gerald Everett get signed this offseason? Clock starts.
Wow. I have absolutely no idea. I'm going to have to take a guess. Cleveland?
It was not Cleveland. It was the Chargers, actually.
Was it really?
The Chargers went out and signed him.
No kidding.
He was with the Seahawks last year. He did get picked up by the Los Angeles Chargers. Yes.
Okay. What was the easy question there? Just for curiosity.
The easy question was, I'd say, relatively easy. Where did Amari Cooper get traded?
Oh, God, I would have had that one. All right. Well, I gambled and lost. Story of my life.
All right. Well, now I think you know a little bit of a gauge here. So now we're moving on to the second question. This is
By the way, my answer right there would have been correct for Amari Cooper. I was on the right page.
Well, stats question. You can make it up here. Do you want the easy, the medium, or the hard question?
Let's go medium here.
All right. So the second medium question. Who was the last Browns wide receiver to have over 1,000 yards in a season?
Wow. Wow. Good God. Jarvis Landry, did he get over 1,000?
He did. 2019. He did in 2019. It was, you could have said Odell. They both.
Well, I know Odell never got off the ground there.
He actually did have 1,035 in 2019, which I learned.
He really?
3 hours
so barely
ago. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of those, either answer.
No kidding. Now I know Jarvis was. I remember just Jarvis. It felt like Jarvis was the better wide receiver there, which was insane, But has anybody picked him up yet? By the way, that's another one. That's curious. I don't think anybody has.
I don't think he's gone anywhere. No, he's still out.
That's odd. I wonder why Green Bay hasn't looked into that yet.
They're too busy signing Sammy Watkins. That's why.
No kidding.
All right, so you got that one. That's 20 points for you on the board. Not an awful start.
We'll take it. 20. We'll take it up.
All right. Next question. You got the history question. You want the easy, the medium, or the hard here?
Oof. How many questions total are there?
5.
All right, let's go easy here. My history is not very good.
So, the easy question is, who was the last running back to win the MVP? Oh, fuck. I forgot to take the answer out. Oh, it was copy and pasting.
If it makes you feel any better, I would have had that. That one.
I'll give it to you. It definitely was. Right. I thought
the gods are on my side. I gambled and won this time. I knew I was due.
I do believe you. I think a lot of people probably.
Yeah, that honestly is one of the only ones I think if out of an MVP question, my memory it could be better. Let's just say that.
Well, I thought because somebody asked. Well, no, I was looking for questions earlier in the week, and I was thinking about history questions and looking through the MVP lists of who won. And, I was thinking, how can I phrase this, so it's easier? And I'm like, who's the last non-quarterback to win? And I don't remember off the top of my head, but I was like, who's the last running back to win? And I guess by process of elimination, the only person that comes to mind, just because of how dominated it is by quarterbacks, is Adrian Peterson.
He actually might have been the only player. He might have been the last player to win that wasn't a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, he probably was. I mean, I'm just saying, I can't even think of anybody that.
Because the wide receivers never won it. Yeah, I guarantee you that he was. Yeah, guaranteed.
So, yeah, that definitely, I'll give that. You got 30 points in. There you go. I'll give that one to you.
All right. That's
why it's the third episode. We're still roughing out the
exactly. And I'll take the points.
Fourth question, a draft question. This is not just this year's draft, but any draft.
Okay. Let's go easy again. Not a draft guy.
Easy. No.
I was gonna say, I think I might get that one again. I might know that one.
All right. Who is the second pick in the 2022 NFL draft?
The Detroit Lions.
Correct. I didn't even need a clock for you. 40 points on the board.
So wait, what's the score to beat? 50 or 60?
The score to beat is 60 points.
Oh shit! So is hard worth 30?
Hard is worth 30.
All right, well, here. I'd be a fool not to. Let's do it. Give me the hard one.
Hard question. This is an interesting one. So this is the football IQ question. To be fair, this isn't really a rule or anything, but what is the duration of an NFL halftime? Clock goes.
I think it's 15 minutes.
It's 12. It's 12 minutes. It's 12 minutes. Aside from the Super Bowl, but it is 12.
I actually didn't know that. Is that a rule?
Yeah, it's
no kidding.
Everything I've been asking you, I've been like, I don't know all this shit off the top.
So that's a league rule. 12 minutes in the regular season.
Yeah. So actually, how do I do this streamer?
Well, like I said, I gambled and lost. Story of my life. Let's see here. I'm looking this up. This is I'm glad I learned something as a consolation prize. I had no clue.
How long?
Yep, 12 minutes. The NFL halftime lasts 12 minutes. I would have been right on soccer. The halftime for soccer is 15 minutes. Got the wrong sport. So
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it says Super Bowl is 20 to 30. God, doesn't it feel way longer than that?
It does, because I bring in all the theatrics and they have the people come out on stage. It does feel so much longer.
All right, 12 minutes.
NFL halftime typically feels longer than just 12 minutes.
This is weird, though, because this is weird. Okay, so this one article says 12 minutes, and then this article says, let's see. Regular season halftimes are 13 minutes long, as explicitly stated in NFL's 2021 rule book. But then this article says 12 minutes.
Hold on, let's see. They have a downloadable PDF.
And then Wikipedia says usually around 12. And then this one says between 12 and 15.
In the event again.
And then this one says it is 12, a different one. So that's.
Oh, maybe I should box that question forever. Oh, wow.
Although, you know what I was trying to think of? I was trying to think of like what it says on the scoreboard when I'm at the game. And I 12 sweet though.
Yeah, I think most people default to 15.
That seems right the more I think about it.
What does?
Yeah, I'm an idiot. That was way too easy of a guess. I should have that was. Although I think that's right, because now that I think about it, 12 seems right when I'm thinking about looking at the scoreboard. So
yeah, so
12. Although I got to tell you, man, it feels way freaking longer than 12 minutes.
Does. Halftimes feel like they take absolute decades to go by.
Well, son of a bitch, Caveman, third place. Not what I came here for. God damn it. Hey, I got a life lesson though. I know how long a freaking halftime is now.
You gave me your best shot. I could. What's the word?
Listen, I had to go for the W. I had to go for the W. You know what I mean? I'm not in this to tie.
You still get a spot up here. I mean, I can get a guest that comes on here and they shoot for all the hard questions.
This is the final show, everybody. This is it. I've made the top 3. That'll be all, folks. I'm sure somebody will come along and beat the shit out of my score. That's for sure.
I'm interested to see who gets. I'm having a hard time gauging how easy and hard these questions are. So I feel like somebody's gonna have an easier day than.
I'm telling you, man. There's some people. My when it comes to this stuff, I'm bad. There's some people, man. They're like encyclopedias when it comes to this stuff. You know, it's crazy.
Some people know the weirdest shit for no reason.
I know.
Like, I guess I don't know this shit.
Me either. But now I know. Now, guess what? I'll never forget how long a halftime is now. I'll tell you that.
Well, I hope you enjoyed. You'll be third place on the leaderboards. But Z-Bot,
hey, I'll take it.
It's been one hell of a conversation, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. This was great. We'll have to do it again sometime. I'll have to repay the favor as well.
Dude, I mean, I couldn't thank you more for hopping over from the smoke break either. I mean, you've had one long night yourself. So, I mean, you know, thank you for coming.
Pleasure's mine. It's going to be a long week. A lot of stuff this week. So, the pleasure's all mine. Like I said, I'll have to have you on and repay the favor because this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. I look forward to it. But yeah, guys, I appreciate everybody for sticking around in the comments. Anybody that came in, dropped a comment, anybody that viewed in general. It means the world. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Be sure you're checking out Z-Bot on the Fanatics. I have his links down in the description for all of his socials. I put his link tree down there. So it's all right there for you guys. So be sure you're checking him out. And I hope to see you guys not only for the rest of the week during draft week, because there's a lot planned. Be sure you're checking both of us out on our respective platforms. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Go Bills.
Go Bills is right.